pickup. So, right, so we're expecting this user to send back their current laptop to us. So current that pickup is open. So it's in an open status. We're waiting to deliver back to the depot. So what we would do is when we receive that asset, we know we have to close that pickup work order, and you do that through initiating a pickup scan. I can go to the location tab here and again, close out of here. And the old LCAM is where you'll really get your details and your work orders, whereas the new LCAM is really where you're going to use it to scan assets into NewWare and move it through the warehouse and things of that nature. So once we receive the asset back, we're going to do a pickup scan. That asset tag off the open pickup work order and close the pickup work order. So I'm going to have to remember what tag we use on that. Read the open pickup currently.
That's a lot of stuffing around, eh?
I can go into the line item field and see what F tag we were expecting. So it's 148. This was on a pickup, so we're going to use the P work order. And then we can initiate the pickup scan. That's all that's required to do that. Yes, I know it's open. This is where the development version gets a little messy. So let me try this again. Just try choosing something else and then going back to pickup. And hit save. And again, it gives me an error. Okay. Again, we're having these issues because we're in the dev environment. So one more thing I'm going to try just to show you the pickup scan. Oh, I know what the issue is. I probably used this asset on another test, and it's probably on another open pickup. So let me see if I can close that one. So bear with me 1 minute.
I'm recording all this, by the way, as a video thing, so we can.
Yeah, here's the issue. So I have it on two different pickups. That's why it's saying you can't close it on this pickup because it's already on a different open pickup. So let me go ahead and try to close it on this first one so we can do the pickup scan on the second one. Alright. Now this is the pickup that we just created. Now I should be able to go ahead and scan that asset tag off this open pickup. Okay, that worked. So now just to see kind of where that asset's at. If we go back into the work order manager in the original LCAM, and query that pickup again, you can now see that the pickup scan was initiated, which automatically closed your open pickup. So what we're going to do is, as you start creating pickups, so you're expecting all these assets to come back, you can monitor this by looking at all your open pickups. So if you have an open pickup, it means it's not been received yet and you haven't done a pickup scan on it to close it. So that's how you identify all the assets that you're waiting on and can't get back. So
Eric, just a point of clarification. We close the ticket as pickup if it's been picked up from the customer and is in transit, correct? Not that it's arrived in the depot.
Yeah. So you only close the pickup when you actually receive it in the depot.
Okay.
And how you close it is by going to your scanner form and doing a pickup transaction type.
Yep.
So what that's saying is
pickup is actually received.
Really what that's doing. Yes. So you received it back, and now you're going to close that open pickup.
Yep. Got it.
So you only close it and initiate the scanner form transaction type of pickup when you have it in your hands.
Got it.
If it's not in your hands, it's going to remain on the open pickup, and then that's how you can identify what assets are still out there that you're waiting to receive, and then that's when you can, if it's been after, 15 days and you still haven't received it, then you can escalate that to the RADs and say, hey, somebody has to reach out to this customer and get this asset back. And then if they can't get it back, they end up writing it off. We would scrap scan it, and the asset would be out of LCAM. So I know the kind of the wording of the transaction type makes it a little sketchy because, it's on an open pickup, and then we're going to do a pickup transaction scan. So it makes it a little bit more difficult to understand, but this is how they developed it, so we're stuck with it. So again, we do a pickup transaction type only when we receive the asset back into the depot and we want to close the open pickup. So even though we have now initiated the pickup scan, if you go into Asset Management and Original LCAM here, and query that asset, you'll see that from the location, the asterisk in the for section means that it is still on a work order or not in the warehouse. If you can see the status, it's still in a transit status. And that is because you haven't received your surplus in scan yet for the depot to take ownership of it. So let's see if we can actually get it into your into dev. I'm not sure. Let's see. So again, as the asset arrives back to the depot or the warehouse, you want to use your warehouse code matrix, and all the following things will be warehouse transactions, unless it's a new asset, new error transaction. So if I right-click the work order label again in the scanner form and click switch, we can now use warehouse code. So again, the depot has not yet accepted the asset into the depot stock locations or into any of the bins. We just scanned it off the pickup to close the open pickup. So now our next logical step would be to bring it in surplus. So you do that simply putting the in warehouse transaction type, warehouse code, in your, let's see if this actually works, if it's actually in here. So Serpin-AU, and it did work. So now it's in your Australian depot because we just initiated a surplus in scan. So if we go back just to see the progression of the asset, if we go back and query it again and go into location, you can now see it's in your depot, surplus in. Any questions? So again, this is where now that it's in your possession, it's going to take the next logical steps that you talked about, and we're going to do the progression in the warehouse. So after you've received the asset, and let's say it needs to be repaired. So your next warehouse code is you're going to take it into what department if it needs to be repaired. So in your break fix area, right? So we're going to transfer this from a surplus in and show that it needs to be repaired by then putting in our break fix in scan. So if we did BF for break fix in and took that asset, and click save. Now you can see that it has been now transferred into your break fix department, and this is the process where you're going to actually fix the physical unit. It's going to stay in this bucket until it is completely repaired. Once it's repaired, and let's say that it's been after 15 days already, you don't necessarily have to transfer it into the hold 15 because it's already been back in your depot for 15 days. You can then go ahead and take it into your wipe bin or department. Same asset number. So again, normally you don't do this and you don't track it every step of the way. I'm just showing you to see the progression of where the asset's at. So normally you don't do this every time, but oh, that's up there. And there you are. So it's in your wipe in. So at this point, you brought it into the wipe area. You're going to run the wipe DOD tool. After that's completed, and you know it's ready to go back to stock, you can simply transfer it there by using the scanner form again in new LCAM and just type it in your stock code. If we go back, you can now see the location of that asset is in stock, Australia. Any questions so far on what you've seen? I know it's a lot to take in. Okay, so currently we've created a repair by replacement scenario where they had a broken asset in the field. We sent them an advanced replacement, and they sent us back their old asset to be repaired. For you. But again, I kind of showed you that as an asset goes through your warehouse, you want to kind of show which virtual department it's in, so you can track the progress, or you can track the asset as it's going through your warehouse, right? So you do that by doing a transaction type of warehouse and choosing the correct warehouse codes for each department. So, your wipe in, your SERP in, your break fix in, so you can see that progression. So generally using that scanner form and kind of moving an asset through your warehouse is fairly easy to pick up on. Usually it's just the work order it's the work orders that take a little bit more practice, but you'll get the hang of it. So if I go back into old LCAM here, original LCAM, I did it again. And let's say we had an e-ticket come in for a new hire, right? So again, we're going to create an install work order, the other asset that we brought into Newware earlier. So what we're going to do is just create an install work order for a new user, so we're not going to expect anything back from them, so we don't have to create the pickup. So again, we can go into the Add New and choose W for an install and hit F4. The alt work order number field here is where you're going to reference the vitalized ticket, which is the BMS ServiceNow ticketing system. It's actually going to be a request, usually for new hires. So we could do like a request ticket. I can't remember. I think it's REQ. Just put in a ticket number. Again, your customer is always BMS. You hit F4. The work order subtype now, instead of being a repair by replacement, will be an NU work order, like I described earlier, which is just a new user. If I type NU here and hit F4, it's going to give you the new user description. Again, for BMS, the software code will always be standard, and the service plan will always be 2.0. We'll just go ahead and fill the scheduled date out now. So again, this is the date that we expect to ship that asset, which is today for me. Then we go back down to the delivery user. We'll go ahead and use my name for this also. In your site, because of data protection laws, everywhere but the U.S. and Puerto Rico, actually, you can never put the client's home address in LCAM. So instead of using the client's actual home address, we always use the site address. That's why it's in the delivery location. And you're going to choose your site location. Hit F4, it's going to populate it. Again, the floor is a required field, although we're not going to use it. Put an asterisk in. And project code is also required, and we don't use it, so it's not applicable. Click F4, and it's going to take you immediately back to your line item to choose the model number, which in this case is an iPad 4. Again, it's going to add that to the work order. So since we already added the schedule date, if we click save here, it will create that work order. So let me take this work order down. And this is for a new user, so we're not going to create a pickup, so we hit no. Not going to print it at this time. And again, you're in your work order creation screen where it has the fields where you can add a new work order. We want to get out of there, click undo. and do not commit changes. And it'll go back to your query screen. So let's see, you go through the same process, right? Now you know you're sending out an iPad to a new user. So you pick one out of your stock location, you take it back, you configure it, so you add the DMS user ID to the AirWatch group, you download any applications that are required, and as soon as you have all that done and you know it's good to ship out to the end user, you're going to want to config scan the asset tag to the work order you just created. Again, you go into your new LCAM, into the scanner form. I'll go ahead and open it back up. The scanner form icon is right here to the left. So if you click that, it'll open your scanner form. And we're going to config scan the asset tag onto the work order. So we're going to choose the transaction type of config. All right, that's correct. Tag number, so I didn't realize I wasn't sharing my whole screen. So this is the work order we created. And we're going to put this in our scanner form. So we created the work order for an iPad 4. We configured one. Now it's ready to ship because we know it's good to go. We're going to add that tag to this work order number. Hit save. We go back into original LCAM into work order manager and query that. By hitting F2, you can now see the config scan. And you can also see in the line item pickup info, you can see the F tag that we're going to stand on. And again, at this point, your work order is configured. So you guys tell me what's the next step after you configure an asset? Do you remember?
It's to put it in transit. So in the deploy.
Go on the line with me.
Sorry, I was speaking on mute. Yeah, so after config, yeah, it's then deploy, I believe, until it actually reaches the customer.
Right.
Once it reaches the customer, then we can close the work order.
Actually, there's one other step. So there's actual a ship.
Okay.
So a ship scan.
Okay.
Yep. So that's good. That's good. You pretty much got the flow down. So that's good. So we're going to do a ship transaction type. Oh, I can't remember the tag number. I think it's that. It is. So again, the same work order. Now, did you guys get a barcode scanner, like the hand scanner that you can hook up to your laptop?
Yes, we have scanners here.
Okay. So the asset tag has a barcode on it, so you can scan the barcode here in the tag field. If you print off the work order number will have a barcode associated to it, so you can just scan the barcode and fill in the work order. Same with a pickup work order. So you have that scanner functionality through this. So anytime you have a tag, you can scan the barcode on the tag and fill in your tag field. If you have the work order printed off, you can scan the barcode next to the actual work order number on the paper, and it'll populate your work order for you. Same with a pickup work order. So at this time, we're going to go ahead and ship.
That's good.
Go with me?
Yep.
Understood.
Okay, I'm sorry. I had another call coming in, and I was hoping I didn't drop you. All right, so we're going to go ahead and ship scan this asset to the work order. And what other information do we need to place into this scanner form when it's a ship transaction type? Do you remember?
Yep, the waybill number and the carrier that we're going to be using.
Exactly. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to choose UPS again now, because you can see it's important on who you choose, because there's a certain, the tracking number has a certain format, and that format is specific to the shipping company. So to show you that, like if I didn't choose a carrier, and if I just started typing in a tracking number that is in the format that UPS uses, watch the carrier code field. So for instance, 1ZY or F523, you can see that since it's in that format that UPS uses, it already pre-populated UPS and the carrier code.
Okay, since we don't know who we're going to be using at this point in time, do we need to also send you the carrier code, which is unique to Australia, so that can get populated?
Yeah, exactly. So when you know the carrier, I'm sorry, there's somebody at the door. When you know the carrier that you're actually going to use, we can put them in that TAM for you so that you can choose them here, and then we can also get the format that the tracking numbers come in, so that you can choose, so that as you remember, when you print off a shipping label, that's also a barcode for the tracking number. So in that waybill number, after you create the shipment and you print off the label,
yeah, we can scan that.
You go to do a ship scan. Exactly.
Yeah.
So again, a lot of this is made to have that ease of using a scanner, and it helps you out. So.
Yeah, excellent.
Let me go ahead and save the ship scan. And just keep showing the progression so you get used to the progression of work orders and assets. I'm going to go ahead and query it again. And you can see that the config scan was placed where it tied the asset tag to the work order. And you can also see that we created a ship scan, which then populates the waybill number. It's also important for SLA purposes, because you can see that we have created on 7/9, or right here, that this work order was created on 7/9 when we received it, and it was shipped out the same day. So again, the work order status now is in transit, and the asset is on its way to the end user. So then we go in here, and after we verified that the tracking number, the package has been delivered, and it's now in the hands of the end user, this is when you would do your deploy scan that you talked about earlier. So deploy scan takes it off the open work order, closes the open work order, and puts it in the possession as actively deployed into the user. So if I choose a transaction type of deploy, the same tag number, which I can't remember what it was. It was
F11005, I think.
Perfect. That's what I thought. I was starting to get confused on which one I was using at that time. All right. So then again, you just place your work order in there. Got your deploy scan, and hit save.
At the same time, once all this is done, we can then update Vitalize as well, because that will still be remaining open, correct?
You're exactly right. So then you would go into your Vitalize ticket, and you would take that tracking number and put it in there, and put it, so, put in the ticket, the asset is shipped with this carrier, here's the tracking number, and then you click resolve. So at that point there, you have basically resolved your portion of the Vitalize ticket. So that's all you have to do in Vitalize. So if I go back into the original LCAM, hit F2 to clear the fields. Again, query that work order. No matching records. I just want to show you this because sometimes when you open up your work order manager screen, remember when you do a deploy scan, it automatically closes that work order. So if you don't have this checkbox up here at the top, show closed, you're going to get that no records error. So if we query it again, no matching records found, is because it's closed at this point. So if you wanted to bring it back up, you'd have to hit show closed and then query the number again. See, and then here's our progress of our work order. So the config scan, the ship scan, and the deploy scan. Now the work order status is closed. So that's pretty much it for the ticket. It stays in the possession of the user until they either get a refresh of a new asset or they have an incident again on the asset we just sent them.
Eric, does
one more quick?
Eric, does LCAMs then will have like multiple statuses, if you like, or tracking? So you can have an asset with like 50, 60 work order statuses based on its.
Yeah, you can.
Yep. Okay. So if we create a new work order against an asset, will the old previous history still appear against that asset?
It will be searchable, yes, in LCAM.
Okay.
Yeah, so you'll be able to see the complete life and movement of that asset through the system until it's basically disposed of and scrap scanned.
Got it.
So, but you're right. You could have a bunch of records attached to that, especially if it went out right to the first user. Let's say they were terminated or fired, it would come back to the depot. And once it's ready to be put back in the stock, a new ticket comes in for it. It could possibly go out to another user. So you have all the scanner record there of all those transactions. And then say something happened to it in the field, and it was broken. It would no longer power up. So we advance sent them a different asset. That same asset, the other asset would come back, and now it's the third time into your depot. Right, it gets repaired, it goes back into stock, it could possibly go out to another user, but you'll have a complete record of the life of that asset in LCAM. So the only other type of incident or instance you would have of creating work orders is if a user out in the field is terminated or fired. So at that point, we're not going to create an install work order because we're not going to send them another piece of equipment because they've been fired, right? So our only requirement at that time is to generate a pickup work order because we're going to expect their equipment back. So you can do that real easily, and it's basically the same thing as what you do with your install, except for there's a few variances of it. So if we did an add new, and we're just going to create a pickup and hit F4. As you can see, the pickup pre-populates here. Again, you're going to reference your incident or e-setup number or request. Your customer is always going to be BMS, F4. on every pickup, your work order subtype is going to be an SU, which is a surplus return. Oh, typed it wrong. Again, your software code is always going to be standard. Your service plan is always going to be 2.0. The difference is this pickup is not going out to an end user, it's coming back to you, right? So to a depot. So there's not really a delivery user, so you don't have to put any delivery user or delivery custodian information in here. So in these areas here, you would just put, since it's a pickup, unassigned. So UNA, you hit F4. You do the same thing for delivery custodian, hit F4. And then again, you choose your site. In the floor, you always have to, unfortunately, put something in there. And the project code, once again, is always going to be NA.
Eric, can we pre-populate the floor and just put, workshop?
I can see.
Something? Or does it have to always go in there?
I can see. Yeah, unfortunately, it's a required field that has a bunch of dependencies.
Okay.
Already tied, intertwined in LCAM.
Okay.
So we can't just take it out of the whole form because it'll mess records up, from far back. And so it's a little bit more complicated than just kind of deleting that text box. So that's why it's much easier just to put an asterisk in there.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Not a problem.
To populate it with something.
Yeah, it's an old legacy type of a field there for some reason, and that's fine.
Exactly. Yep, that's exactly right. So for the pickup user, you're going to have a ticket that says, hey, this user has been terminated, so you're going to already have that information in Vitalize. You're going to come over and put their information in here as being the pickup user. So you're going to get it from them. Let's go ahead and put my name in there. Hit F4. That's froze on me a little bit here. Let's see. It is not liking F4. Still nothing. It's not going to let me. Let's see. Maybe I can try to just do it by first name. F4. Yeah, it's freezing up on me at this point, so let's see if it catches back up here shortly. And we'll continue on. This is kind of the last piece I really wanted to show you tonight. I just wanted to keep kind of, for the redundancy factor, just create a couple work orders, keep showing about the pickups, the installs, showing you movement through the virtual bins in the warehouse to show the asset trail, and just get you familiar with how to kind of really query asset tags or users in the system. So at this point, it's pretty well locked up. Well, gentlemen, we might be kind of stuck right at this point in time. So, one other main thing about LCAM, hopefully we can get it. No, because it's running slow right now, it's going to be hard to show you. LCAM kind of keeps an error of a record of all the errors that are created in it, and it's called the gateway. If you went to gateway into fix gateway errors, into your asset transaction gateway, it takes a while for this to populate. Let's see if it pulls it up here. Give it 1 minute. Maybe it's going to make me put in a tag first. Let's try this. It is. So if you do a pickup customer again, that's always going to be BMS on your pickups. The tag is going to be the tag number we received back. F4. So that's that iPad that was in my name. Maybe now it'll let me pull up my information. And there you go. The site, again, is always your site. The floor is always the asterisk. Your project code, again, NA. Go ahead and save this. I forgot the schedule date again. So the schedule date is going to be today's date for me. Then I can hit save. All right. So that's 7028. All right. So now I'm not going to print it at this time. I don't want to create another one, so I'm going to hit undo. And I'm going to hit no, I don't want to commit the changes. So again, this is pretty much all you do on a pickup until you receive it back to the warehouse. And then you receive it back to the warehouse, and you scan it off the pickup, and you close the pickup by initiating what kind of scan on that asset tag. So what kind of transaction type.
If we had the that Excel spreadsheet list there, I'll be able to tell you, hopefully.
So basically, in the scanner form, just to scan it off the open pickup and to close the open pickup, you're going to use the pickup scan.
Right.
For a transaction type. So again, the only pieces of information you need are the tag number and the pickup work order number to do that. So generally, if you receive an error here and it won't let you do it, many times it's because you have the wrong transaction type chosen here. So say you were bringing in newware, you forgot to change the transaction, and you still had this in there. Of course, it's not going to close that open pickup and do what you want it to do.
Got it.
So you got to make sure you always choose the correct transaction type. So if we did that and hit save, go back into the original LCAM to scan and query the pickup. You can now see that it's closed, right? Then the next thing we have to do is to scan it into the warehouse. So you would go back to your scanner form, switch the from work order to warehouse code, use your SERP scan, populate the F tag, and hit save. Location, not code, found in the matrix. So why did it let us do it one time? Oh, because you know why? You get these errors when you don't have the right transaction type, like I just did. Again, if you're going to do an internal depot scan, that's generally a transaction type of warehouse. So I just told you why you might see errors, and then just created the error for you. So if I go back and do that with the right transaction type chosen and hit save, it's going to go through. So I told you before that there's a way that LCAM tracks errors, and it's sometimes useful for you to see it. So we recommend that, or we ask that anybody that's in LCAM doing any kind of scan or work order creation, they're always checking this gateway for their own errors. All right. So you would select a system, which is Asset Transaction Gateway. You always choose all batches. Then you look at all users, all errors. And you can see all the errors, the date and the time they happened, and and you can pick up where you were at and what you were doing. So if I run it by if I filter by transaction, it's going to let me. Okay. So as you can see here, if you remember, I had the asset that I was trying to close on the first open pickup. That's giving me an error saying existing work order open because I had it on an open pickup already. So it was actually on 2 open pickups, and it wouldn't let me close until the original open pickup was closed. So this is showing me the error that was generated, shows me the work order, the tag I was trying to scan, all the tag information. So in order to close or delete these gateway errors, I would go in here and under this field where you see deleted flag, I would change the capital N to capital Y for yes. Capital Y. Capital Y. I'll go ahead and do some of these up here also. Oh. So if I go down here and refresh, and it should pull out all the errors that we had today. And since this is, again, dev, it's not that big a deal. Put in production, we're going to see all these errors in here. We require, that the techs that are doing the work in there and generating the errors actually is checking the gateway, every half hour to 45 minutes or so, and just to delete whatever errors they see in there to keep the gateway clear. So any questions about that?
Would we need to go in there and fiddle with that? It's just a record, really, isn't it? So we don't really care if we've made an error here or there.
Right. There are some benefits to it. However, any error you generate gets stuck in the gateway. Right. So you do want to check the gateway every once in a while, and you want to delete whatever errors you have in there if you've been able to, continue on. So if you found your mistake and you were able to do what you wanted to do, and it's no longer generating an error, then you want to delete those errors that are in the gateway. However, if you have an error and you don't know how to clear it, or you can't figure out why it's getting generated, then I or an admin or the developer can actually go into this gateway, see the errors that you're creating, and then that's a good way to figure out, maybe what's going on and how to resolve them.
Okay. So what if we're during a process here, something goes wrong at our end, we can't figure out if we're doing something wrong. Who do we call, or can we call, or is there a help desk or a service desk for LCAMs?
Nope, I'm it, my friend. So I will find the right answer for you, or get you the right people to help you.
Okay, all right. So the process
again,
is.
I haven't.
Yeah. So the process is usually what we do, if it's via email, we'll take a screenshot and dump it to you, and say this is what we're getting, and I'm sure you'll see it in the errors, in the gateway errors anyway.
Exactly, because that's where we're going to go. We're going to go to the gateway, see what kind of errors are generated. We're going to look at stuff and see if the right model number was picked, serial number was correct. Then we can go in there and we can see all those different things. So here we can verify that you're choosing the right transaction type. See, I tried to do a stock -CN, which is, I think, China. So I tried to do a stock scan of this tag into stock CN, and it errored, and that was because I forgot to change the transaction type. So again, it was on newware when it should have been on warehouse.
Got it.
So this gives us a good idea
and
a good place to start.
Yep, understand.
So you can also, go to the first field and highlight it. And if you hit the F1 key, so it has some helpful information to it. Different errors give you more information than others. So invalid model, if I hit F1, it's gonna give me a reason why. So it'll help us give you like a starting point on how we're going to resolve. So, also check the model field to make sure both models are equivalent. So it gives you a little bit of a starting point to help you resolve your own issues first. And then if you can't, then by all means engage, me. And if I can't figure it out, then, I'll get you in touch with the developer, or we have one LCAM guru that's been with us from the very beginning on the other project, prior, because I was on the GE account for 11 years prior to coming on with BMS, and she has been on it for, I think, 5 more years than I have. So she's been with this tool from the very beginning, almost the very beginning, and knows about everything you can know about it. So if I have to get, her name's Terry, so if I have to get Terry involved, then I will do that at that point. So.
Not a problem.
Great. So I think that's about as much information as I want to throw at you tonight. What I'll do is, tomorrow when I wake up, it's going to be the end of the day for you. So you'll be going in. So if I schedule something on my Friday night, that'll be your Saturday morning.
Correct. Yeah.
So I may schedule maybe an hour and a half with you guys. It would be Sunday night for me, Monday morning for you.
Yeah, that'll be good. Because that'll be good because we've just received all the BMS hardware. So what we'll do is we'll at least prepare it, and then actually run through some actual live scenarios to make sure we're doing it correct.
Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll turn you loose. I'll basically take the screen sharing. I'll pass it over to you.
Yeah.
I'll have you go in. I'll have you create some some fake assets. We'll bring some fake assets into the system like we did tonight. You'll go through and create different work orders in depth, and then what we'll do is we'll switch over to production, and then we'll actually bring your warehouse assets into the system.
Excellent.
So that they're ready when you go live.
Excellent.
Just create a newware asset. I want to bring a new asset in that's not currently in LCAM. Okay? So let's say we're going to bring in an iPad. Okay? So go ahead and give it a fictitious tag. So put like start it with F4 and then 4 more digits.
F4, 4 more digits.
Yep.
How's that?
That's perfect. So then go in and just type whatever serial number in there you want. Just don't start it with 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we've used it a couple times. So it started with like 8 or something. There you go. Perfect. All right. Did you receive the email that I just sent to you all that has the Japan bins, dev bins in it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So go in.
You want me? Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead. Yep.
And the code is it in here?
So that's going to be the Japan newware. No, go ahead. Unfortunately, the warehouse code never works on newware, unfortunately.
Oh.
You always have to use switchback, and use the B worker order for Japan's newware that I just sent you in email.
O 203 4842. Yep.
Perfect. So then the last thing we got to do is we got to choose the OEM model number. So let's act like this is an iPad 4 or an iPad 2. Just so type in iPad space 2. Yep. And then all you have to do at this point is hit save. That's all you have to do to bring in new equipment. Okay, do we remember the F tag we just brought in? So it was F4 or something? We should have wrote it down. So go into Asset Manager. So the old LCAM. The old LCAM. Hit Asset Manager. Let's query what we just brought in. So type in F4, then put a %sign after it.
It's above the 5.
Yep, and then query. All right, that's the one we just brought in. So 713. So let's write that down. Let me see what I do with my pen. All right, so F4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Mm-hmm. Perfect. So go ahead and hit query button or hit F2. Actually, go to the location tab at the top real quick. All right, so you brought that in, Newware Japan. Perfect. So go ahead and hit F2 key, and it'll clear it out. All right, so we just brought in an iPad. So let's go ahead and make a work order. Okay. So under the, work order and then work order manager. So you always do this in the old LCAM. All right, and again, you're in the query field because all the fields are white. Now, if you wanted to query a work order or a pickup work order, you could type it in there and hit F2 and it would bring it up. But for us, we're going to do, say, an install work order for this iPad. So let's go ahead and hit. Actually, before that, let's the instance when you have like new hires. So the actual people are not in LCAM currently. What you would do is you need to add them in the new LCAM. So let's just go add somebody.
You're on mute.
Oh, no. Can you hear me here? Hello? Hello? Eric, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Andrew?
Laurie's trying to talk to you, Eric, and he can't get through for some reason.
Can't get through on my dial-in number?
No, he's it's just not working. He's trying to unmute and.
I'm not mute.
Oh.
Is there something at the top? Have you got a screen at the top?
Yeah.
At the top.
Yeah.
Does it say mute or unmute up there? Is chat on or unmute
me?
So is he not in the same location you are?
No, he's at the same location, but he's using his own PC and he's on the BMS PC as well. So he's trying to unmute from the BMS PC apparently. So I might walk over there for 2 seconds and see if I can help him out. Hold on.
So Laura, you need to go into the new LCAN.
Hello?
So the window that's open behind that, I'm not sure if we're like it's freezing or what.
Testing. Hello? Hello? Testing? Hello? Eric? Hello? Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing. It's working. Testing. Hello? Testing. Hello? Testing.
Testing? Yeah. Back.
I can hear you.
Oh, excellent.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
Nice. All right, so when you're adding a new person, because remember when we create work orders, we can query the last name, but they have to already be in there. So if you go into admin function at the top, go into people, into personnel, All right, this is where you can add people. So let's do an add new at the bottom. All right. So for the last name, go ahead and, I mean, you can make yourself in there or do whatever you want to do. So. Okay. So you got the so the login name for BMS is probably going to be like a tan L. So log in at the bottom of the field. Right there, yep. Perfect. Okay. And then you can go to contact info. It's the tab. So you're on tab 1 of the insertion. Go to contact info up to the top. Yeah. So here, this is where you're going to put the mobile phone number in. So you're going to put the mobile phone number in both the phone and the mobile phone at the bottom of that list. So add it in both places. You can also add the email, yeah, in this location. Okay, go to the location tab. So this is really where you start, this is really where you can't really put the user's home address in there, so you would start this with the address for the site.
Which is us.
No.
Your Australian site, whatever street address that is, should be in the LCAM. See if you can see it. Or actually, don't add an address. Don't add an address at this point. Go ahead and click Save. Choose BMS, because you always want it associated with the BMS account. Perfect. All right. So now you added the new user, right? So let's now go into and add a new work order. So hit Add New at the bottom of the window.
Oh, okay.
Hit No, or cancel, yeah, again. All right, so remember when we did this. So all your install work orders begin with a W. So the first box up the top, put in a W and click F4. Right, so it's an install. So then the next thing you need to populate is the alt work order number. So again, the alt work order number, which is above where you're at, that's the regular work order number, and then one down is the alternative work order number. That's where you're going to put the BMS incident ticket number. So you're always going to reference the BMS vitalized ticket. So type INC and then whatever digits are on the end of it. Just
make one up. Just make one up?
Yeah, you just make one up. Perfect. So then the next field, of course, you'll see it blue. That's customer. So this will always be the same, BMS, and then hit F4. See how it turned from blue to yellow? That means it took your input. So then the work order subtype, since we're doing a new hire, it's going to be under a subtype of new users. So if you type NU and hit F4, it should populate. Perfect. So again, we're doing an install work order, so we're shipping it out to them. It was spawned off by that incident number from Vitalize. It's for a new user, so we're using the subtype of NU. And then we can go to the next field, which are always default. So software code is always going to be standard. The next column over. Yep. So you can type in and then hit F4 anywhere in there, and it'll pull up the list or take it. Yep. And then again, this will always be the same. Yep. Perfect. Great. So you can go ahead and fill in the schedule date, which is in the next column over, so we know we're going to ship this out today. Right there. Yep. Perfect. So then the next part is, if you go down to the next fields, or the box, I'm sorry, not that box, but all the way down to the next section, which is delivery user, to the left.
No.
Yeah, up.
Excuse me?
So go one more section up to the delivery user section. You're in the delivery custodian. Yeah, so go ahead and so you just added last name of Tan in there. Go ahead and hit populate Tan and hit F4.
Not there.
You're not in there?
Mm-mm. Oh, hang on. Nice.
Yeah, see, you're at the bottom of the list for some reason. Okay. Perfect. So then the next is your delivery location. So in the blue boxes down there. Yeah, so in the site, you always want to use your site address or your site name. So Australia, just start typing Australia and hit F4. And F4. See that I changed your address for you?
Mm. Oh, yeah.
Go ahead. Then go ahead and hit it. Asterisk. I'm sorry, you cut off. Go ahead.
Is that right?
Yeah, asterisk. Yep. And then project code your last piece of this until you start. Yeah. So that's N/A for not applicable. N/A. Yep, F4. Perfect. So this is where, again, we're not really going to add a tag at this point. We're just going to add the model that we're planning on configuring to send to the user. So right now, we just brought in an iPad 4. So this will be the OEM, where it says model and where you're at right now. That's always going to be the OEM model number. So whatever model number you brought it into LCAN, right, with a new air scan, that's where you populate this. So, yeah. Yep.
F4?
Go ahead and hit F4, yes. All right. So there's that. At this point, this is really all you need for the first initial piece of this work order. So go ahead and hit save, and let's write down the work order number because we're going to need it.
Oops. Work order has been created.
02038-502, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's say no, we're not going to create a pickup right now.
No.
You want to print? Yeah, go ahead and hit no. Okay, go ahead. Now you're still at a create screen because you can see the colored fields. So go down the bottom and click undo because we don't want to create another one right now. And then always click no. We do not want to commit. Perfect. So again, you can, if you wanted to query that work order, you can go up to the work order number field and put that work order number in there. So I believe it was, 020.
Do I need to put the W as well?
Yes, you do. and hit F2. Perfect. So you can see, you can click query again to clear it out. All right. So at this point, so now you know you need to get an iPad 2 out to the end user, right? So you added it to the work order. So you grab one off the shelf. You start to, configure it. Once you know it's configured all right and you've, added them to the AirWatch successful, the screen looks good, you're ready to ship it out to the end user, you then have to add the tag onto the work order. So you do that in the scanner form in new LCAM. Okay. So do you remember what kind of transaction type you used to add a tag to a already created work order? Again, this is all in your directions. It's in your directions, but you can hit config. It's config.
Config.
So CONFIG.
This one?
Yes.
Just.
Yep. Perfect. All right. So the tag is going to be the tag that we brought in, as in newware. We should have actually transferred it to stock already, but we'll do that here in a little bit. So go ahead and type in your tag number. Tab out of there. Okay, so your work order number is going to be the work order we just created. So the work order that you want to scan this tag to. All right, now all you have to do is save it, and that's it. Okay, so let's go into Work Order Manager, and let's query that work order number. So you already have it open in the window, one of the windows behind there. Excellent. So if you go to the line item tab at the top, you can now see, yep, you put the tag in there, so perfect. So you configured the tag to the work order. So now that you've configured the asset and you put the tag on the work order, you're now going to pack it up, right? And then you're ready for shipping. So you go to your vendor shipping website and you make sure, or software, and you create the shipment. So then now you have a label with a tracking number on it. So let's go into, so the next piece you have to do is actually ship it in LCAM. So that's your next scan. So go into your new LCAM into scanner form. And you scan, you're good right there. So then what you want to do is, this is not a configure scan because you're not adding a tag, you're adding tracking numbers. So you're going to do a ship scan. Yep. All right. So you're going to add the ship scan to that same work order for that same asset tag. You always want to put the tag in first because once you tab out of there, it'll take away the work order number.
Should have come up.
No. So So it populated the serial number, but this is going to be your work order you just created. So you configured it to a work order. Now you're going to ship it to that same work order. So when you print these sheets out, when you first create a work order and print it out, it'll actually have, where the work order is on the paper, it'll actually have a barcode. So if you have a scanner, a hand scanner, instead of typing the work order number in, you can just scan the barcode and it will populate this field. But for now, we'll just type it in. Yep. So there's two pieces of information with a ship scan, right? So one is your tracking number or way bill number, and the next is who actually shipped it for you. So what is the company, what is the name of the company that you're going to use shipping?
Andrew?
Pick one.
Pick one.
Okay. So it's probably not in there. Take a look in the list and see if you can see it.
It's not.
Hmm.
Go DHL. DHL.
All right. So just for testing purposes, just choose something, yeah. What's weird is, so when you start typing in a waybill number, LCAM has like a format. So if you start typing in like a FedEx in the format of a FedEx tracking number, it'll already populate your carrier code. For instance, type in 1ZY. You see how the carrier code just went to UPS?
Mm-hmm.
Because it sees that format, and UPS is generally always in that format. So, however, we've got a little bug in this right now because we're having troubles with trying to get some of the international partners in here without it pulling up, like UPS or something. So for this testing, just go ahead and type in some random numbers after this so we can, we'll just use that and act like you ship through UPS, okay? That is really all you need for the shipping scan. So go ahead and save this scan. Perfect. Now you can query the work order number if you want to see where it's at, or you can query, say, the asset tag to see where it's at in Asset Manager. It's just it's up to you. Yep, let's go in the header. So if you go to location, tab at the top, yeah. All right, so it shows that it's on like open work order, so the building and the floor, whenever there's so if you go to the work status, yeah, it's at the top. There you go. So you can see that the status code is transit, so an asset that's being shipped. So that's kind of where your asset's at right now, because you did a ship scan on the work order. So I'm just showing you this just so you can be familiar with it. So then do you remember what we have to do? So when we ship this next day, right, we're expecting it to be there the next day and for the user to have it. What we would do is we'd go to the shipper's website and we'd actually track the package with the waybill number. So once we see that it's delivered, we want to scan the asset to the user and close the open work order, install work order. So do you remember what kind of transaction scan type we do for that? So go ahead and go to your your new LCAM and into your scanner form. And that, to do that, you're actually, so you can think of it, you're deploying it to the user, right? So you do a deploy scan, right? So again, you want to put your tag in, the work order number again. And that's it. So hit your save button. Because your waybill, that's a ship scan, so that's only relevant in a ship scan when you do waybill number and things. So at this point, you can hit save for the deploy scan. It's going to deploy this asset to the end user and close the open work order.
What about this? Deploy that?
No, you don't even need that. No.
Okay.
All right, so let's go ahead and go back into Asset Manager and the original LCAM, and let's open the work order. So that's Asset Management. You want to get into Work Order Manager, which should be in a screen behind this window, I think.
In transit.
Yeah, so if you go to the Header tab again, what happens is you need to query that same asset tag. So you got to hit the F2 button, requery the number. Now go to work orders and see where you're at. Close. So if you go to User Custodian tab right at the top, yeah, you were just on it. So the top of the Asset Manager window, there you go. All right. So now you see you're the current custodian and user of it. If you go to the Status tab, so it's showing that it's deployed and it's active. So that means the user is currently in possession of it, right? And you closed your open work order, so good job. So this asset is going to stay in this, location until the user either gets a refreshed asset, a newer asset, or they have an incident and we have to swap it out. So basically, this is the status that it kind of lives in the user's possession in. So perfect. All right. So let's create a pickup work order for this asset from this user. So let's go into Work Order Manager.
Oh, hang on.
Go ahead and hit F2 to clear that out. And you're going to always have to remember hit Add New to actually create the work order. This is where you can hit P and F4. So let's just say you just got terminated, right? So we have to create a pickup work order to retrieve this asset. So again, in your alt work order number field, you're going to reference the request number or the incident number that this comes in on through Vitalize. Looks good. Now all pickups have one work order subtype, and that's surplus. So if you type in SU and hit F4, so all pickups will always be that subtype. So then you go up again and you have to populate your software code and your service plan. Perfect. So the deliver user this time, remember, it's coming back to the depot, right? So there's really not going to be any delivery user. So this is where you type in unassigned. So if you hit UNA and F4, all pickups will be this same way. So you always put UNA and the delivery custodian where you're in right now. So UNA.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. F4. Perfect. So again, the site will always be your Australian. Yep. And then your schedule date at the top. So let's just put in today's date again. Yep, and that's always N/A for the project code.
I'm just writing all this down.
Yeah, and go ahead and hit F4. All right. So again, the customer will always be BMS at the top, but your cursor's already in there.
This one?
Yes. So that's always going to be BMS on the pickup customer. And then the tag is what tag we just installed in their name or deployed in their name. And then you hit F4. Alright, so you can see that it picked up the F4 tag. So this is where you're going to, the pickup user, of course, is the user who has it right now, so that's TAN. You could also typed in TANL in the login name, and it would have been more specific. It probably would have picked it all up right away. So like close out of there and delete that. And then put in the login, put TANL and see if it pulls everything up. TANL F4.
Yes.
So it pulled it up that way. It was more unique. And then same thing here. Very nice. Now all you have to do is hit save. Let's write this one down. So it's P020385503. Okay, go ahead and hit no. We don't want to print it. And then hit undo here because we're not going to create one. And then no, we don't want to commit. Perfect. All right, so at this point, you're expecting the user to send that asset back to you, right? So when it gets delivered to you, so I always recommend, so these pickup work orders, that you always do print them and then keep them in a file so you know offhand what all your open pickup work orders are, meaning they haven't sent the asset back to you yet, so that when this asset comes back to you, right, you can go through your file and just find it real quick so you know what pickup it's on. Because what you're going to do is, in order to, again, any work order you create, it doesn't matter if it's an install or a pickup, it has to be closed in some fashion. So with an install, you close it with your deploy scan. That's the last state of the work order. With a pickup, you close it with a pickup scan. So let's say the asset comes back to you in Australia. You open the package. You see what asset it is. You match up the pickup work order. So now what you want to do is you want to scan the asset tag off of the pickup work order by doing a pickup scan, and it will close your pickup. So go ahead and in the LCAM in the scanner form, and your transaction type in this instance would be pickup. Yep. So go ahead and tab out of there. And this is where you're going to put your pickup work order number, because it's a pickup transaction type. Yep, and you can go ahead and save it at that point. Now you can either query that P work order number in Work Order Manager, or you can go into Asset Manager and kind of see the history of the asset also. Up to you. Yeah, so going over to work orders. All right, so you can see your pickup is now closed. Now, even though you did a pickup scan and you closed your open pickup work order, you still have to accept the ownership of it by bringing it into your depot scan locations. So you want to go ahead and go back to the scanner form, and then this is where you can use your warehouse codes. So if you switch it by right-clicking the work order label. Nice. Okay. So this is where, so the transaction type, when you start using your warehouse code, the transaction type will always be warehouse. So this is really that's your basic, movement internally within the depot. So you can, let's actually see if you have a stock-AU in there, or a SERP-N-AU. So SRP, without the U, yeah, SRP. See the AU? So you can just arrow down to it. Yep. Let's see if this works. So again, when a surplus return comes back to you, your first scan is always going to be your surplus end scan, which you're doing right now. So go ahead and put that tag number in there. And then you can hit save or tap F8, whichever one, same thing. Okay, let's go ahead and query it in Asset Manager. So go to location. All right, so it's now in your depot under a SERP in Australia. Perfect. So your next two options are, you just got this asset back. So if it has to be repaired physically, you would bring it into your break fix area. Or if it's fine and it was just the person was terminated, it goes to your hold 15 bin. So let's say for this instance, because it was a termination, that there's nothing wrong with the asset, but you still want to hold it 15 days. So you have to do an ELIT image on it by requirements of BMS. So that's using the FTK, the Forensic Toolkit image. So any termination, that's the first thing you do, is you get a Forensic Toolkit image of it. And then after you do that, you want to hold it until the InfoSec team with BMS has looked at your image and said it's good to go. At that time, you can wipe the asset. So let's pretend you already did your FTK image of it, and you're going to hold it until the BMS information security team gives you the okay to wipe it. So let's go ahead. You brought it in, SERP in. Let's now transfer it to your hold 15 bin. So everything is the same except for really the warehouse code.
I don't have the code here. Hang on.
Yeah, so it's HOLD.
HOLD 15. Yeah.
And it's a hold 15-AU.
Oh, damn.
Alright, you usually want to put your tag in first. Let's see if it, hopefully it won't take your warehouse code out, but let's see. So when you tab out of there, good, it didn't do anything, so perfect. So now you're transferring it to your hold 15-day bin, just a hold. So go ahead and click save. Alright, so this is just to show the proper progression through your warehouse through these virtual bins. Because anytime you do a scan, it has a scan record, right? So you can see this asset progress through your warehouse. So after you get the all clear, you have to, if this was a laptop, you would have to DOD wipe the hard drive, right? So you show that you're doing this by transferring it into your wipe bin. So that would be your warehouse code of WP-IN.
Say?
Correct. Yep. Nice. So then you wipe all the information off the hard drive. Where's the next place you're going to put this back? So let's act like it's an iPad 4 and it's going to be deployed again. Where's your holding location in your Australian depot for assets that are ready to go back out to users?
Stock-AU.
Exactly. Stock-AU.
And save.
Yep. Perfect. So now if you go into Asset Manager and re-query that tag number, if you go in location, yep. So now it's in your stock. You can actually, if you look at the hand down there, below the record where it says, so those hands to the right and up a little bit. So you can see where it's, if you want to, so you can click through there. So can you see the progression as the floor changes? So this is where really you can see how it's moved. So that's an open work order. And there's when you initially brought it into Newware. So you can really see the life cycle of the asset through this asset manager. So that's good. So what was your... So go ahead to the header record again. I want to see what serial number you assigned to this. Because there's going to be another instance where we're going to have to... That's it. Is that a A203040?
Yep.
Okay. So go ahead and query out or clear the field just with a F2.
A203040. Okay.
Yeah. So there's going to be, so in LCAM, any asset record has to have a tag assigned to it. Okay? So you might have people out in the field right now in Australia that are using assets that were never assigned tags. Okay? So when you get it back, all you do is you have an asset with a serial number on it. So we have to virtually assign them tags. So we just pull off like a sequence. So we find out that in Australia there were 50 assets out there that weren't tagged. So we have to go and assign it a sequence of F tags, right? So we pull 50 F tags off and we start virtually assigning them to the assets in the field. So what happens is when you get, say, an iPad back, right, that doesn't have a tag on it, the first thing you're going to do is query the serial number to see if it has a tag assigned to it. So go ahead and put the serial number in the serial field. And hit F2. So it pops up the associated tag, right? So I say that because you don't want to, if you don't query this asset by serial number, and if you don't look for it in here and see that it's already got an F tag, say it's an iPad 4 that was never tagged, and it's fine to go out to a new user. We don't want you assigning it another F tag, you know, some of the F tags that you have, and bringing it in newware again. You know what I mean? Because, again, you always do newware scans on assets that aren't currently in LCAM. So if you're not searching it to make sure that it is or isn't in LCAM, you may bring the asset into the system again, even though it's already there with a newware scan. So that brings me to, so let's go into like a scanner code again, or a scanner form. So there's two things, there's a couple things we can do here. So go ahead and, let's see, in your settings box at the bottom right hand of your scanner form. Yeah. So let's do a lookup by serial box. Click that box. Yep. And then hit OK. And then you know what? I'm sorry. Go to the settings box again. I think there's one more setting we're going to want to put in there. The remarking. Obviously, remarking save. Okay, go into the field settings. And go down to print. So uncheck the hide on the print tag box. Okay, hit OK. All right. So this is where, if you wanted to query a tag, so you could, I would always recommend delete the warehouse code that you have in there right now and just leave it blank for this time. For this time. So now you brought in an asset. It doesn't have a tag on it. You queried it in LCAM, and you found out that it has an F tag assigned to it. So you can go into the scanner form, put that tag number in the tag field. Yep. And tab out of there. Now you can print the tag with that button down there. So if you had a label printer on here, you could print this off and print off another like little F tag and actually take it out of there and stick it on the bottom of the laptop if you wanted. So if you had a printer installed in LCAM at this current point, you could hit print tag.
Okay.
And it should print the F41234 and its barcode on a small tag, like depending on what label printer you have.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, so I would recommend doing that because you always want to. It's easier to like move assets onto the work order and off and through your warehouse with the tag number, right? So just remember, any old equipment that comes back to you, you need to first query the serial number if it doesn't have a tag on it to see if it's already in LCAM. If it's not, then what you're going to do is you're going to bring it in with newware so that it's in your system. All right. So do you have a list of assets that you have in your depot right now?
Yep.
Are you guys ready to bring them into prod? To have them in your inventory?
Yes, we are. They received in yesterday. We checked them all off, and Laurie was just about to enter the first one into the system. We thought, no, let's wait until we do this training first before he goes live with the first lot.
So before we do that, do you have any more questions, or do you want to do anything else in this dev environment before we move forward?
Laurie?
Not at the moment. I need to go through all this by myself.
Yeah. So the instructions are pretty much step by step. The only thing I don't have in there, and I'm hoping to try and get it in there tonight, is the part where you search the serial number, print the tag, and then where you add like a new personnel table. So you add a new user into the system. So I forgot to add those in the beginning, but it is something we need to do, and I'll add it to the directions. But for right now, if you don't have any questions with work orders or asset management at this time, let's go ahead and exit out of LCAM completely, and then you can sign into production with your own current credentials. So go ahead and exit out of here, and then go back into the production instance.
Do I log off?
Yep, so go ahead and click your LCAM again, asset management.
You there, Eric?
I'm sorry, I was talking on mute. So that part number right there? So is this new equipment that was sent to you?
Brand new, yeah.
Okay. So this is where you gotta assign it. Take one of your F tags and put it on the bottom of the laptop and assign it to each one. So you have F tags there, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So in the box. Yeah. So in the box next to your mail just came through. So in the box next to serial, label that column as tag. Okay. So the first F tag that you're going to assign it, the sticker, go ahead and type that in there. Yeah, and you don't have to do that right now unless you want to try to bring in a few right now. So whatever serial number assets you have in hand right now, just say if you have 2 or 3 of them
so
ready.
Find the one you were doing.
Put a tag on the bottom of them, and then
On the bottom, is it?
No. The tag goes on.
On the bottom of the laptop.
No. Don't worry about it.
They want it on the top, we were told.
Oh, really? That's what they told you?
Yeah, on the lid near the near the Lenovo logo.
Okay. Go ahead and put it right there then. That's fine.
Can you see the first one I did?
I do. I see it. So what we want to do is copy that part number. And then go into LCAMs. Should have it open at the bottom of your screen there.
Already got it open,
Yeah. Actually into old LCAM, if you don't mind. Or there, see if it's in there.
Yeah?
Yeah, if you go into order, to the menu order, and go into models. This is where you can make sure a model number's in there. So if you hit F2, alright, it's perfect, it's in there. So that's good. So go ahead and query out of there and
go back in.
Okay. So now we know the model number's in there, we're good to go. Alright? Yeah, so first you're going to have to put in the tag. So the tag that you're going to assign it. Okay. And then you're going to put in the serial number of the asset, which the Lenovo serial numbers are, go back to your spreadsheet. So is that the serial of it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Perfect. And then you're going to put in your newware V work order. So switch the warehouse code to work order.
And go into that.
And then go back to your B receiving sheet for your Australian bins that are in your scanner sheet.
That you shut down. No. Yep. No. Process and instructions. LCAMs. Scan codes.
Doesn't want to open up. No like.
That's weird.
That's alright, I'll just do it here. Okay, it'll be B020. B0203 2493.
All right, then go ahead and put the model number in again because it cleared it out once you tabbed out of there. Or the part number, yeah.
Now it opens.
Oh, there's your bins.
Yeah, it took a while.
Okay, so now you assigned this F tag to that model number, which is a X250 with this serial number. So now all you have to do is hit save.
I don't have to put a description at the moment?
Nope, nope, because it's already in that model where we went and saw the model was an LCAM. It's going to pull all this information from that.
All right.
So go ahead and hit save. All right, and then let's query that in Asset Manager real quick.
Shit, I forgot.
All right, go into location.
Yeah.
Perfect. Newware, Australia. Now again, this is not where you want to leave it. You just brought it into the system with Newware. Now you want to go and transfer. Well, after this, you want to transfer them all to the stock-AU location.
Mhm.
So that they're in your stock location. But right now, what you have to do is really bring them in. So if you go back to your scanner form, and then this is where, since you're bringing in all these assets into Newware, you can go into your settings down at the bottom of your form and go into field settings and down to work order. And to the right of work order, all the way to the right, you can say remember value and hit OK. Now, anytime you save a record, it'll keep that same V work order number, that Newware in there the whole time. So you don't have to keep putting the V work order number in there.
Okay.
So for instance, let's do another one, if you got one handy.
They're still in the box. I can pull them all. I have to pull them all out.
Oh, that's all right.
No, we'll just do.
I mean, do you feel comfortable with adding them in?
One in, but just pick a tag on the spreadsheet.
Okay.
Are you comfortable with?
Yeah, I'm just telling Laurie we can do another one. He can just pick one on the spreadsheet, and we'll just align it later physically.
I'll have to pull out
the tags anyway.
Yeah, just allocate a tag to any one of those, and then we'll align it up later. Now, Eric, just a simple question: when we're adding the devices into LCAMS via the new LCAMS work order piece, when we click save, can we then just add another serial number and another tag? Will it keep all the other fields there, or do we have to re-enter everything?
So you have it saving the work order number, right? So the work order will always be populated. Newware is going to stay the same. At that point, you can actually go to model number in your field settings and hit save that also.
Right. If you just did a drag down, you'd be able to. Yeah, but that's okay. That's enough. That's enough. That's enough. Yeah. Are you on mute?
Okay.
Do a couple more.
Okay.
Do a couple more.
Yeah, let's do those. Let's do those two there. So go back into your scanner form.
Yes. Sorry?
Go into your field settings before you click save. And go down to model number. And you can click remember value at this point in time also, if you want. And hit OK. Now all you have to do is save this record. Now all you have to do is start entering the T tag.
Sorry, now before he moves off this one, can he just put another F tag, another asset tag in and serial number and click save again?
Yes. Yep. Correct.
So we can do multiple with the model number in there. Oh no, it'll delete the model number though, won't it?
No, it'll stay in there because we said remember value.
Okay. Got it.
So when you have like a bunch of the same model number,
yep,
then you can click that remember value, and now all you have to do is enter the tag
yep,
and the serial number and just keep clicking save. Yep.
Yep, perfect. And save.
Save.
Yep. And save. That's it.
Good. Excellent.
All right. So that's all you have to do with that whole list. But for right now, let's go back into the scanner form. Oh, we're in the scanner form. Let's change it to, so what we're going to do is we're going to move the 3 assets that you brought in, and we're going to move them to your stock location.
Hang on.
So it's going to be a warehouse transaction type. Yeah, the transaction type instead of newware is going to be warehouse.
Stock AU? Warehouse code?
Yep, stock-AU. Yep, so now all you have to do is put in the tag.
What happened there?
I don't know. Alright, close out of there.
Stuffed up?
Yeah, close out of that window where it says Financial Batch Manager. Just close that window. There you go.
Retreat.
Now tab out of there. Oh, deleted the warehouse code. So go ahead and put stock-AU. Remember, you got to always put the tag in first, or so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then click save.
Do for the rest of the...
And then again, if you're doing a whole strand of these, a bunch of them, you can go into the field settings and say, remember the warehouse code.
Now put the tag in first.
Yep. And then go ahead and click save.
days.
And that's it, guys.
Oh.
So you think you can handle it from here and get the rest of the assets in?
Yep.
Yep.
Perfect. All right, I'm going to jump off here. I haven't ate all day. I'm going to run down and grab some food. So, you got any more questions right now for me?
No.
No, we're excellent. Thanks, Eric.
All right. Yeah, no problem. You guys are doing good. Yeah. So let me know if you have any more issues, and just keep assigning your F tags to the serial numbers. You probably don't want to remember the model number all the time in your screen, so just remember, as you say, remember the value for the model number. You may not want to do that unless you have a bunch of the same model number coming through. But when you're bringing it through like a stock scan, right, that model number is going to be populated because you brought it in newware. But it doesn't matter now because you've got it. It'll populate once you put a tag in there. So, but I think you're good to go.
Excellent.
All right, we'll go ahead and populate the rest of it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. So let me know if you have any problems.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you. Thanks, Eric.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.